Laten we eerst even een rondje doen van wie welke taal wel en niet spreekt. Wie spreekt er geen Engels, maar wel Nederlands? Nee, jullie zwaaien gewoon, toch? Ja. Oké. Arabisch? Alleen Arabisch. Oké, sorry. The aftertalk is going to be in English. And before we start the film, there's going to be a homage to Bassem Youssef by Sabri Saad El Hams. After the film, directly after the film, Bassem will join us. And we will start a Q&A. This will take about 30 to 45 minutes. And I'm really looking forward to all your questions. I've prepared some myself. So you can catch your breath after the film. Bassem is not watching the film because it's too intense for him to relive it all. He has lived it already. Furthermore, I would like to point out there was supposed to be a book selling, but we weren't able to get enough books here. So I bought the books that were available in the Netherlands. And if you would like to buy one, just come to me after the screening and we will figure something out. And we will reward a book to the best question from the audience. So keep those wheels turning up there. Me and Bassem. But don't be too scared. I would like to give you all a warm applause for Sabri Saad El Hams.
يا مساء العسل. ازيك؟ طبعا بنبدأ بالعربي والمصري بالذات. اهلا بيكم. انا اول مره yani het gaat heel kort doen voor de dames en heren die geen Arabisch spreken of verstaan. Ik heb het nog nooit zo mee. Oh, wacht even. Arabisch. أنا أول مرة أشوف التجمع الكبير دوت المصريين الحلوين. أنتوا قاعدين كلكم في هولندا ولا إيه؟ مش فاهم. أنتوا صحيح؟ ومش باينين ليه طيب؟ مش باينين ليه؟ إحنا عايزينكم. Oké, dames en heren, welkom. Het zou een hommage zijn aan, niet alleen aan Bassem Youssef, maar aan humor. Ik speel een voorstelling, en het gaat niet over mij, maar het gaat over de voorstelling en over wat de voorstelling zegt eigenlijk. Het is een voorstelling van Arno Grünberg, een bekende schrijver in Nederland, en misschien van de bekendste. En hij heeft een stukje daarin, ik speel een stukje daarin over humor. Wat de mens eigenlijk is voor... Hij probeert, dus een advocaat die probeert het op te nemen voor de mensheid. En zit een stukje in over humor. Daar ga ik mee eindigen. Maar ik wil eigenlijk beginnen met de eerste kennismaking met het programma. Het programma, zou ik maar zeggen. Bernameg, El Bernameg. Toen ik in Egypte in 2011 aankwam, ik was voor een paar dagen onze man in Egypte, bij Paul Witteman en weet ik veel wat allemaal. En ik heb op de Tahrirplein gestaan, al die 18 dagen, of nou niet, de laatste 3 dagen van die 18 dagen heb ik daar gestaan en gefilmd. En kort daarna is er een programma in het leven geroepen, of althans werd ik geconfronteerd door een neef van mij die zei van, nou, je moet kijken naar Bassem Youssef op de televisie. En ik kon dat in iedere hoek van de straat zien. كل القهاوي كانت متجمعه بره والناس بتشرب شيشه ما كنتش شايف ان الحاجات دي كانت alleen maar van voetbalwedstrijden. Als El Ahly en het Zamalek tegen elkaar speelden, of als Egypte, of als het WK was, dan zag je dat soort taferelen. Maar zoveel mensen op straat kijkend naar een politiek getint satirisch programma hadden wij nog nooit meegemaakt in Egypte. En ik durf te wedden dat wij in Nederland dat ook niet hebben meegemaakt. Ik kan me niet voorstellen dat voor zondag, of nee, hoe heet die man? Lubach op zondag. De balie vol te krijgen valt, terwijl hij heel veel kijkers heeft. Maar het was zo belangrijk. En het stemt mij alleen, hoe zeg je dat? Treurig eigenlijk, dat het er niet meer is in Egypte. En ik ben heel erg benieuwd na het zien van deze film en het praten met Bassem straks, wat de toekomst dan zal gaan brengen. Wat jullie ons te vertellen hebben. Jonge mensen, zoals jullie. Arabisch. Oh. انت مش فاهم حاجه خالص من اللي انا قلته ده كله. يا نهار اسود. ولا كلمه ابيض. اوكي ولا هولندي. ممكن انجليزي. طب بعد العرض بقى لأن كده هتاخد وقت كتير. هترجمها لك كلهم. هترجم لك انا الكلام ده والله وعد ان شاء الله. انت اسمك ايه؟ ماشي يا كريم. وعد ان انا بعد البرنامج هترجم لك كلمه كلمه. اوكي. De mens is de clown van de schepping. De mens is de clown van de schepping. Ik weet dat er een paar practical jokes uit de hand zijn gelopen. Er is wel eens een onschuldige slachtoffer gevallen omdat de verkeerde grappen serieus werden genomen. Terwijl de grappen die men juist serieus had moeten nemen als een grap werden afgedaan. Je neemt het lachen pas serieus als je bereid bent ervoor te sterven. Ik bezing het enige wezen van de schepping dat de lach boven alles stelt. Ik bezing het enige wezen van de schepping dat met recht op zijn grafsteen kan laten zetten. Hij leefde voor de lach. عايزين ترجمة. أنا يعني لا بس صعب الترجمة. أنا مش هترجم لك. مشكلة. اهم حاجه ان انا يعني مضمون الموضوع اللي انا مقدمتي ديت ان انا بعمل يعني باك جراوند انفورميشن عني ومش لا اقصد ايه. انا بعمل مسرحيه عن واحد من نص واحد اسمه ارنون جرينبرغ. وعملنا مسرحيه عن حته يعني عن الهيومور او ايه هو the importance let's say my English of humor and how important that was and is still for humanity actually. And I was talking also about how I discovered the Bernameg when I was in Egypt in you remember that in January 2011. And I discovered actually by a family member of me who told me that I have to look to the Bassem Youssef Bernameg and how important that was and how crowded the tea houses were in Egypt at the streets, watching this very important program. That's actually what it's all about. And then I said something about the performance, which I'm not going to translate. But maybe I will be able to do it later this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, سيداتي آنساتي سادتي. Ik ben vereerd. أنا يعني سعيد جدا 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 باللقاء معاكم دلوقتي وإن أنا أكون موجود وإن احنا نكون موجودين مع بعض ويا ريت نتعرف على بعض بعد الفيلم يا ريت. شكرا.
You came.
In the midst of our summer.
Thank you very much. Merci يا حبايب, merci يا جماعة, merci. Okay, so first of all, how many Arabs are here? Yeah, scared the shit out of white people. Yes, that's nice. Any Dutch? Yeah, it's kind of like you heard like the Arabic. Hey, it's like what the fuck. Look what's happening. It's like next time when I say like hey Arab, it's like Allahu Akbar. It's like everybody like. Anyways, hi. Thank you so much for coming, guys, and really appreciate it. Seriously, all right. It's such a pleasure, and thank you so much. I know that I was just told outside that like there's not many sunny days outside in Amsterdam. So actually to use that to be inside watching a movie, you're all losers. So thank you so much. Should be going outside, cycling and killing someone with your bikes. But thank you so. Oh. All right, so, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, we made the agreement that I have prepared some questions so they can just relax a little bit in your presence.
Yeah, that's
and then
no, we are relaxed. I'm relaxed. They're relaxed. So.
Yeah. And then I will move around with the mic.
Okay.
So, Bassem, the film ends, but your life went on. You went to the US.
Yes.
Can you fill
Thank
us
God
a
it
little
went
bit?
on. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert. Yes.
No, what happened directly after? And
Well, the thing is, I didn't move, but like chronologically, I didn't move from Egypt to United States. I went for a year in Dubai, and then from that Dubai, I went to the United States. And the reason for that is, I mean, Dubai at that time seemed the logical choice because Tariq, my friend in the movie, he actually went there because he couldn't go back because his father and his brother were both taken into custody. So I went there, and we had this idea of, okay, maybe we should resume our activities from Dubai. But of course, as you know, regionally, the Bernameg was not allowed to be revived. And as I was there, from the moment I landed there, there were offers for me to go back to television, but in a different form. So you would see people coming in and they would ask me to do stuff like game shows or very easy, silly comedy shows that doesn't have any political edge. And they were offering a huge amount of money to do that, and I couldn't. It was just, I couldn't find it. That would be a disappointment, not just for the fans of the show, but for me, and that would be that would just like destroy the legacy of Bernameg. So after a year in there, I didn't find it possible to continue in Dubai. So I took the decision to go to the United States and start all over again, which is very difficult because in the Arab world, this is where I formed the fame and people know me there, and it was much easier to get jobs, even like much higher paid jobs. But I decided that, which is hard for me, to go to the United States, start a career there in a language that's not mine, for an audience that's not my audience, with references that are different. And it's a big challenge because there it's already a cutthroat competition there. So this is the chronological order from Egypt to Dubai to Los Angeles.
And what content are you working with now, basically?
So right now, I have my own live shows where I go there. It's a mixture of storytelling, stand-up, and it is directed more to American audience and Arab immigrants who live in the United States. Hopefully, I would want this to be more of a comedy special. And that's like what I'm doing currently. Like I do a lot of touring in the United States, but on the side, there's if you live in Hollywood and you ask anybody, what are you working on? Everybody's like, I'm working on a project. Everybody is having like scripts and all of this stuff. Every time you see like a breakthrough movie or a breakthrough TV series, these people have been pitching these ideas for years. And this is how tough and how competitive things are in Los Angeles. So as I'm doing that, I'm also writing scripts. I'm also involved in projects with other people. Hopefully, that one day this will make it to the screen. So it is scary, but it is interesting. And
it's still political satire, right?
Not necessarily. I mean,
okay.
but the thing is, everything is political. If you have now an immigrant who would play something on television in mainstream media in America, that is political in itself. You know, because we are affected by what's happening in the world. So my goal is to have voices like us being heard in the media. And I get criticized. A lot of people, you don't speak about, like when I go and speak in these life events, like we want to hear specifically about what happened in Egypt yesterday. And I said, like, guys, this is the reason people do not listen to us. We bitch and whine that the people in the West don't listen to us because we don't say something that's important to us. They need to be relative. They need to relate to us as people living there. So we need to talk about our problems there, so people would have voices like us being heard in the media. And this is what I'm trying to do. Like, this is like my next frontier. My next hope is to have voices like us being heard in the American media. And it's not very easy. Yes.
And you didn't watch the film because you lived it already?
No, I didn't watch the film because I watched the film for the first time in the premiere in Tribeca Film Festival in 2016. And I watched it once, and I couldn't watch it again. And I'm sure that you felt it. It's very traumatizing for me to watch it again. I watch it once, and every time there's a Q&A, it's like, when does the movie start? It's like, start at 3, right? I'm gonna come at 5. And because it is very difficult for me to rewatch everything. There's moments there, I'm sure that you would understand it. For me, it's very difficult for me to watch it again. So I just come to the Q&A, pretending that I have watched it with you in the back room, which I didn't.
And what is your favorite moment in the movie of making?
I said I don't watch the movie.
No, but
well, the thing is, the favorite moments of the movie are actually the bittersweet moments. It's stuff that, like, when you see the movie and you see us working mostly in the office, when we're working together and creating this every week, that was like a very strong moment. Because, like, I more than I miss the show itself, I miss the process of doing the show with all of these people that I've connected with.
and are you still in contact with them?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And they are still working in Egypt.
Well, at the end of the movie, you see that where everybody is, and they do other stuff. Of course, they're not allowed to do political stuff.
Yeah.
But they still working, and they're very successful because, like, I was very lucky to be surrounded by these amazing talents around me.
Yeah. As one of your colleagues says, Bernameg is not a choice; it's a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle that came with a lot of opposition.
It's a lifestyle like yoga, kid.
And I was wondering, you received, as a Muslim, you received a lot of accusations of being, for example, anti-Islamic on several occasions, both within the public debate and I can imagine also within the personal sphere from family or friends or whoever. And
It started by anti-Islamic, and then it's then anti-Egypt and anti-army. They will always find something to accuse you from. So. Of course, under the Muslim Brotherhood, I was accused until now that I'm a hater of Islam and I hate Islam. And
yeah, how did you deal with that?
I just made more jokes. And the thing is, like, at the beginning, it was more of, and I know that you here in Holland are more sensitive to think of, because it's scary for you. But actually, it's more scary to be accused of being anti-army in Egypt. The army is even more sacred than religion in Egypt, and people in Egypt that can relate to this, actually, because it doesn't matter, because I was accused by those people of being anti-Islam from the Muslim Brotherhood who were not very popular, at least for a large portion of the circles in Egypt. They were not very popular there, but, like, once you go, the army is untouchable. And I didn't even make fun of Islam. I didn't make fun of the army. I made fun of the people who represent these two ideologies and using them in political discourse. So after the authority shift, and then I had, there were new people now in power, and I had to make, you have to do my job. There are people in my circle starting to be aggressive towards me, even people within my family, and people boycotted me, and they even believed all of the propaganda about me. And in the heart of Cairo, there is a sports club called Gezira Club, and this is where I would go and do my sports. And throughout the couple of years when I was making fun of the Muslim Brotherhood, I would go in from the gate, and people, I was a god, And then after the stuff shifted, people started looking at me differently, And especially old retired people, who come and started wagging their fingers in my face, like, you're not allowed to speak about Sisi, And it was funny. Actually, one of those people she was crazy, anyways. But she would come and say, I remember it's like, hey, we used to love you under the Muslim Brotherhood. We don't like you now. You should not be speaking about Sisi. So, and I said, why? It's like, he is our savior. It's like, I said, but, like, you need to explain to me why. And she said, well, we have God up there, and we have Sisi down here. He is like second to God. And it's like, seriously, second to God? And I said, yes. Okay. What about Prophet Muhammad, first or second? All right. He's like after Prophet Muhammad. It's like, all right. What about Jesus, Moses? Right. Oh, okay. After the prophets. All right. What about the disciples? So she got very confused. I like messing around with these people. They're so easy. Yes.
And Are you already ready for a question to be asked?
I think we're born ready, baby.
You're super eager.
All right, so let's have ground rules for questions. Since there are so many Arabs here, a question is short, ends in a question mark. It is not a statement. It's not the story of your life. Nobody fucking cares. So ask the question and be thoughtful of the other people here. So make it and just like let's have like a nice conversation and give everybody a chance to ask and let's do it. Yes, you choose. واللي يقول لي بقى فين 5 مليار يا باسم وكلام من ده بحضره. يعني خلينا بقى لطيف بقى والحاجات اللي بتاعت ماشي.
خلينا لطيف. Bassem, you said that one of your frontiers is showing that we have a voice for the media in the United States. What would you suggest us as expats, young expats, Egyptian expats, wanting to make a change for our country to do right now?
Well, the thing is, here's the thing about the change, making the change for your country as individuals. This is going to be like we can speak theoretically about it, but like seriously, you need to work on yourself to be a better person, a better individual, a better expert of what you do. Because when your country is ready for you, you can do it. Because like right now, I have to say, I will be very honest with you. There's not much that any of us can do, especially that you are dealing with a country that the military regime is even supported by the same Western country who speak about human rights and democracy every day. I mean, and I said that in Amnesty International 2 days ago. I said, like, all of this oppression and all of this tyranny is not created in vacuum. It is created with the aid and with the weapon sales from the Western countries, the same countries who talk about human rights and democracy. So it is very difficult right now. We have regional powers, you have global powers doing that, and actually going and facing end-on the regime might not be safe. So you have to look first for your safety, and you have to look first for how good you are as a person, doing the best you can here, and when the time is ready, we will all know it and we can help our countries. But right now, what you can do around your circles, you can make them aware. You can tell them that Islamic regimes and military regimes are two sides of the same coin. Not one of them is radical and the other one is secular. Both of them are radical.
Do you think it's possible for us Egyptians living in Europe mostly, from a very privileged part of Egyptian society, to be living our lives without also legitimizing the very same rule that oppresses a lot of people in Egypt, while we get away with it a lot of the time?
What do you mean? How are you legitimizing?
If I were to, like, I don't want to put the personal thing inside, but if I were to live in Egypt right now, I would be living in a very privileged sector of Egypt, and I'm afraid that if I would live my life the way I would want to live it there, that I'm giving legitimacy to the military rule.
Listen, we're not saints, we're not angels. You need to, I mean, you cannot just like go and say, because if you give up this privileged life, I don't think that you're going to make any difference. So you just need to be but like you need just to be conscious of what you are and what you are going through, and don't just support it, like that kind of regime. So I think this is more of a problem that you need to talk to your therapist more than me. So I cannot give that kind of advice. Also marriage advice, I don't give that.
I see a lot of people filming. There will also...
You know what? They can shout. You can shout the questions.
No, because then they won't be able to hear it online. Because,
online? Is this online?
People can rewatch it. I will come back to you in a sec. Hi.
Hi, thank you. Oh, okay. Hi, Bassem.
Hello.
So my question is, did we, as your audience, did we disappoint you when the show stopped? Because I always ask myself, what should we have done?
Well, the thing is, I guess this question, I mean, so I'm going to actually turn this question. A lot of people ask me, why don't you continue doing it online? And so like, guys, I had 40 million people on the show watching every day, and when the show stopped, nobody did anything. So part of it, people think that I'm saying this as if I am disappointed at you, but I'm not. Actually, what could have you done? There is nothing really you could have done. But the fact is, as much as I'm not asking for people to do anything, you cannot ask me to continue sticking my neck out, doing the same thing, and doing it online while we had like a much bigger audience and that didn't make an effect. If I knew that this would make an effect, I would have done it, but it's not. And I have to say that I was broken from the inside, especially last year, when Egypt was giving away 2 islands to another country. And nobody did anything. So people like, people didn't even move for us giving up a piece of our land. Do you think they will move because of a satirical show? So there's a time that you fight, and there's a time that you sit back, getting concerned about your safety, and hopefully waiting for some other time to fight. But that's not the time. So I'm not like, because you don't owe me anything. I cannot ask you to do something and stick your neck out for me, because I know it's not safe. So it's fine, guys. Just like be safe.
طب ممكن سيلفي معاك بعد
ماشي.
ميرسي.
Well.
Another question on this row.
Yes. So shortly after June 30th, how did you feel about freedom of expression in Egypt? Did you expect that it will go down this way, or were you more optimistic?
For the first few days after I was the one who celebrated the removal of the Muslim Brotherhood. I have to be honest, because being under like daily threats, I felt that there's like a heavy weight that was lifted up, but I was naive, and so many people like me were naive when they felt that the army can come in, save us, and leave. And this is we learned that the hard way. And I think this kind of euphoria took a few weeks, and then we started to see something is very wrong. So and of course freedom of expression. And I'm not saying that like that means that the Muslim Brotherhood were more democratic than the army. The Muslim Brotherhood wanted to be like the army, but they didn't have the tools. They were not strong. It's like you have someone who has like 1 year of experience, and another who had 60 years of experience, who have to be oppressive. So at dictatorship, the army wins, of course. Not because they are better or worse, but just they have more experience in putting you down.
We're over here.
Oh, you're already in the seats, and this is becoming like a TV show. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Oh, here, does it work? Okay, hello? Yeah, okay. I have a new hobby to study the cloud behaviors. So I was just wondering, what do you think about the cloud and the sun and the... Huh? What's your favorite like comic, like The Simpsons?
These are like 5 different questions. What is the cloud? What is the cloud? What is the sun? What is the Simpsons? Okay, I love the Simpsons. All right, next question.
There's another one here. Yeah.
Thank you. So away from politics, Bassem, looking at the program itself, technically, I don't want to ask you actually what went wrong, but what do you really think could have been better away from politics? Talking only
the show, what could have been better, technically? I mean, I think here's the thing. I started as a very small pre-recorded show for the first year. And then I was fighting to get this to be live, as a live audience. And I remember when I was asking people for this, networks to finance it, we were ridiculed. People made fun of us, because suddenly we were asking for 5 times the budget of any TV show. And people say like, it's not gonna be profitable, you're gonna be shut down. And we did it, and we proved to everybody that we did it. So as a matter of fact, technically, I'm actually very happy of the show, because if you watch Egyptian media now, all of the shows now are the live audience. That was not the case before our show. So all of these shows on different channels, whether comedy or not, are now bringing in the live audience. And they are now spending 4 or 5 times our budget. So I think that like technically is one of the things that I'm very proud of the show. So even because of politically, we cannot have political satire anymore, but the show has changed the landscape of Egyptian TV forever. So this is something I'm really proud of.
There's another question here. They won't let me leave.
So we need some of the Dutch people to ask. All right. So, yes. So now the next 3 questions after this gentleman will be Dutch people, because I'm being this is reverse racism. Yes.
So Bassem, about the documentary movie today,
speak up.
I have one question about the movie. Do you feel that you had to reveal more about the insight of the incidents that happened, like your move from on TV to CBC, or the pressure that you had? Because what we watched in the movie, it's more or less public information, but we would love to understand more about the insights.
So this is not an investigative reporting. This is not investigative reporting. This is a documentary. And this is, you have to understand that I am not the maker of the movie. You have to understand that I'm the subject of the movie. Big difference. There is a director called Sarah Taxler who followed the story for 4 years, and I had no creative control over what was happening. I saw the movie for the first time, like everybody else, in the premiere of a film festival. So she was telling her perspective of the story as an American, bringing this story to the world. So there's a difference between doing an investigative reporting piece and a documentary documenting the events that happened, even if it was public. And if you know it because you're Egyptian, there's a lot of people around the world who doesn't know the whole story. So that is a question that I'm not the right person to answer because, as I said, I'm the subject of the movie, you know? So I'm kind of like, if you make a movie about beluga whales and giraffes, I will be the whale. Or I will be it's like making, it's like, it's like planet Earth and I'm a mosquito.
But you had to agree to the movie being made.
Yeah, but in the agreement,
Yeah.
I did not have any creative input.
Okay, but what made you say yes?
Because Sarah was working at that time with Jon Stewart, and she had the case of what would be the case if Jon Stewart was in Egypt and doing medicine. So I liked the premise, and I said, and it was kind of like an action of faith from both of us. She actually put her faith in the story, and I put my faith in her. And it took. We thought that it would be a 9-month project. It turned out to be 4 years.
There's another question here.
I'm Leo Wash. I got one question. In what way do you feel responsible now to tickle the giants?
We tickle the giants in every way. I mean, like, if you actually try to fight for the way that you are putting your voice out in the media, like what I'm doing, that's kind of like tickling. Tickling the giants basically is trying to change the status quo in different ways. It doesn't have to be like just like in your face making fun. I make a lot of jokes about Trump, so this is my ways back in America. So a lady for at last. 2 ladies.
Hi.
2 ladies, yes.
Oh, you, okay. So you mentioned earlier in response to an earlier question that there's a time to sort of sit back and think of your survival. Obviously, I'm saying this from a very privileged position because I'm not in that situation where, you know, there are security issues.
Seems that half of the people here are privileged.
But don't you think that this is also a form of depoliticization that's also kind of a power tool to, you know, perpetuate the regime security there? So in that sense...
So the question is, what can we do?
Yeah.
So I mean, we could be all upset, but like, what do you want me to tell you? Right?
And another question, sorry.
In 2015, the attacks on in Paris, Charlie Hebdo. How did it affect you and your team? Did you speak about it, or did it change anything?
Well, the attacks were everybody talked about it in the Arab world, and there was like a whole campaign for Arab caricaturists who actually did work on that. We did not do it in the show because that is like we had other problems within our country in itself. But of course, it affected us, and in fact, and kind of like every time that you have an incident like that, it affects everybody living in Europe, because now everyone is thinking that, which is like really bad. Like everybody now, as an Arab or a Muslim, or even an Arab, not even a Muslim, someone coming from the Middle East, they feel that they have a duty to explain themselves, which is very unfair, which is really unfair, because I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't push for that kind of rhetoric. I cannot be on my toes every time something like this happened, explaining that we are different. They're obviously different, and it is hard for us to just continue to try to speak to it out of guilt. I mean, you didn't have to explain the actions of the people who did in Charlie Hebdo. Why would he have to explain it? You know. And I understand like the whole thing of like the different sentiment here and people on the right wing using that, but it's just like I'm sick and tired to try to explain this. And why would I talk this more than I would talk about like a certain thing happening in Latin America? It's a violent action, and I'm sure that like I have presented myself as someone who do not condone this. We do have a problem in the Arab world, and the whole thing about this clash of civilization, like many people like to say it, which I hate to use that, but and I say this a lot, and I'm going to say this again today. A lot of people come to me as if we are, of course, the representative of Islam or the Arabs or this whole thing. It's like, do you think that like Islam need to evolve? Like Christianity evolved? And my answer is, did Christianity evolve? It didn't evolve. It's the same book. It's the same scripture. It is the Christian societies who took a decision to go a different way politically. So that was not a religious thing. It was a political thing. It was more of a freedom of expression. Our problem in the Arab world is not a religious thing. It's a freedom of expression problem. So if you have every time you hear someone who's trying to reform or speak about like religious text in a different modernized way, they get put in jail not by religious authority but by military and police authorities. Many of those political military figures, they use religion as a first line of defense. Because if I make fun of God today, are you going to make fun of me as a military leader tomorrow? They consider themselves as custodian of religion. So the problem is not a reform of a certain religion, it is a reform of acceptance of freedom of expression in general. That's the biggest thing that we have. Yes.
How many more questions would you like to take? Because
let's do 3.
3. Okay.
And let's have a mixture of different people. I know that, yes.
Sorry.
Algeria, I would like to see, yes, Algerian here.
So, yeah, prima. Bassem, thanks for coming.
أيوه. Yes.
أنا هولندية ومصرية, it's a mix.
Speak up.
Okay. So I have a question about how does it feel not to be living in Egypt anymore? And in what ways are you coping with your new environment, integrating in the new society and trying to make it home for yourself, your family, and succeeding?
It is of course much harder to live in a new society after the age of 40. You make these changes. I'm not 22 years old anymore. I'm 40 something with a whole family with 2 kids. I'm trying to make it in a different way, and so it is hard, of course. It is interesting. I consider myself lucky that I'm, trying to break this into this new field. Very difficulty with a little bit of difficulty, but it's going on. How do I feel not going back to Egypt? Well, a lot of people ask this question in a different way. It's like, do you miss Egypt? And my answer is, the Egypt that I miss is not there anymore. That's personal. I mean, I don't think that I think it's dangerous for me to go back, but even if the danger is lifted, I even don't know if I want to go back. I mean, I think there's a lot of trauma and a lot of something that's too heavy on my conscience to go back, because it is not like the same way I left it. So I don't know. This is something I have to answer when it is available for me to go back.
I can take it. It's okay.
No, she's worried about like if you can take the mic, you're gonna run away with it. So Absaline is very. When she comes to mic, she's such a dictator with the mic.
No problem.
Only Absaline will have to work with the mic.
No
Hi,
problem.
Absaline. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm Noel from Algeria. I would like to know.
By the way, we and Algerians people love each other as long as there's no football. As though there's no football involved.
I know.
We love each other.
I'm married with an Egyptian man, so no worries.
Yes.
My question is on a personal level, because do you think you have been ever successful in your career? Because when you said in the documentary that you have been a doctor, but it was to please your parents.
Yes.
And then you started something that you love, but it ended up badly. So do you think that you have been ever, and to be honest, personally, very successful in your career?
What career do you think? The media career or the doctor?
Whole career.
Well, I think if I was not successful,
career.
I would not be sitting here with a whole room full of people waiting to hear my voice, I would say, but your question, I think what you should do, were you satisfied? That's a different question, because you could be successful and not satisfied. So I was a doctor. I passed all of my American exams. I already was accepted in a hospital in Cleveland, which I think is successful. I also passed all of the exams for the British, the Society of Royal Surgeons in England, because I was making England as another choice. So for that, that was successful. But was I satisfied? No. Was I satisfied with medicine? I was not satisfied with medicine, because you can be in a work that you may earning a lot of money, doing a lot of stuff, but you're not successful. I was very happy with my career in media. I think I was successful, and it was taken away from me not because we had a bad rating, but it was taken away from me despite the good quality of the show. I'm more content and more happy with the media career, because it's a way that you give. It's a big blessing to have your voice heard. So I'm more. So the question to the answer to the question that you didn't ask was, I am more satisfied in that career than my previous career. Yes.
Very sincere. Good evening. Thank you for coming to Amsterdam. My name is Sabri from Cairo, and I live here in Holland for a long time. My question, can we dream on that you might be the next president of Egypt in 20 years from now? Would you? Is it a dream? Is it a dream? Is it possible for somebody like you?
Yeah, there's so many ways you can serve the country, but like I don't want to be. I think I have put my family into too much pain, and I think going into a political career, that's not. I mean, that would be too selfish. I don't want to be into political careers. I would love to be in a career where I make fun of people working in politics, but not in a political career. And I think maybe sometimes if you're not a president, there's a way that you can affect the discourse more of affecting people. Because by the way, the minute I become president, no. The minute I become president, I'm not popular anymore. So, for example, who's your favorite Egyptian? Mohammed Salah, Abu Trika, whatever. If these people become president tomorrow, they're going to be cursed by everybody. A president is one of the most unpopular, and I would like to be pampered by the love of the people. Okay. We didn't hear much of Dutch peoples, guys. Oh, she's here in the first law. It's like, I'm being racist and sexist. Okay.
It's kind of scary that you right away saw that I was Dutch, but yeah.
Yes.
So my question is that you were saying that you think that the TV in Egypt has changed forever since the show.
Technically, yes.
Technically,
yes.
Of course. Do you see any changes? Because you still have contact with the people that you worked with back then, and you see that they are starting new programs. Are there changes going on right now where you can see, like, this is where I can see that they actually have been, like, there is a revolution within the television, within media, in that sense?
Well, here's the thing. There's two different separate things. Number one, there is something happening within the younger generation who are not accepting the same kind of propaganda anymore. I don't think what's happening in Egypt is sustainable. Because the government, the authority there is still using the same obsolete techniques of the 1950s and 60s. And you cannot do it in an age of the internet. But the other part of the question, which is my friends, they are also complaining about too much censorship about everything. It's not even about censorship of political content. It's like about being appropriate. Because again, when you have sometimes when you have an authoritative regime, it's not just about like what you cannot see politically. They could, as I said, they consider themselves the custodian of religion and the custodians of ethics. And these are all ways. These are all like, you know, hoops and trenches and defense line in order to keep down. Or crack down on freedom of expression. All right, so we have one more question, and here's the thing. It has to be the best question of the night. If you think that you're gonna answer because if this is not the best, I'm gonna shame you and make fun of you in front of everybody. So it has to be the best question ever. If you have the confidence. And you cannot joke about it. You can like, no. It has to be a really good, thoughtful question that will give people something to go home and think about. people are too courageous.
This is the smartest audience I ever had.
Yes. All right. That lady over there. Yes, because we didn't have a lot of women asking, and I like to make it equal. As much as possible. Yes.
Do you have travel advice for people who've never seen Egypt?
And I thought that would be as much. This is a question that you ask for a travel agency. But I will answer you. If you have connections in Egypt, and I will answer this in wholeheartedly. Listen, if you have connections in Egypt, try to actually arrange for a guide to be with you, especially in the pyramids, especially in Khan al-Khalili, especially. No, seriously, because I'm gonna give an honest advice, because there's a lot of hecklers and a lot of people who would just like make your trip less than satisfactory. So pay a little bit extra to have an extra ride. And you can call us on 800 99999. I haven't been in Egypt for 4 years. It will be good for you, yes. All right. Okay, he was very okay. I'll give one more chance for the audience. I'm already disappointed. Okay.
Ik heb een vraag, maar ik wil graag in praten.
What the hell is going on?
Ja, حابب أحكي عربي. أنا سوري.
لا, you have to be respectful of most of the people who only does not understand Arabic. So you have to answer the to ask the question in English.
Ik wil graag praten in Arabisch. Beter van mij. Ja? Okay.
Okay, so you can ask the question and somebody can and Absalin can translate it.
عندي أنا أيمن قطان من سوريا ممثل سينمائي. السؤال الأول ما هي شو هي شروط؟
السؤال الأول هو سؤال واحد.
سؤالين.
One question. Ask the most important question. Guys, Arabs, you need to be. This is the reason why we don't get visas. This is why we don't get visas to the West. We are not specific enough. Come on. One question.
شو هي شروط نجاح الإعلامي أو مقدم البرامج بالنسبة لباسم يوسف مع حفظ الألقاب؟
All right. What is the condition for a TV host to be successful? I don't know, because I didn't went to school to study media. My story was very peculiar. And it just like went out of nothing. This was special circumstances in the revolution that gave us, I don't know, if the revolution didn't happen, maybe I wouldn't be successful. It is different. Anyways, very disappointed, guys. Very disappointed. But anyways, okay, I'm gonna say one more thing. First of all, I really appreciate you guys coming out here. And it's always nice to have a conversation with people, whether it was from my own country or from the Arab region that I really enjoy speaking to. Anybody from Tunisia here? Tunisia? Labas? You Tunisian? لا خلاص بقى no questions are done. خلاص I gave you guys two خلاص ما حصلش. So Tunisian, Algerians, Moroccan. Yes, Moroccan. Hey, there's a lot of Moroccans here. I'm very happy when people from Algeria, Morocco, and Tunis, especially Algeria and Morocco. Actually, I find them watching the show. Tunisia, like they kind of close to us, but Morocco and Algeria, because you have a kind of a different dialect and you follow different interests, and I feel very happy when I see people from these two countries, especially watching the show. Feel very happy and privileged. So thank you for so much. And I'm very happy when I see people from Europe and from the United States coming here to watch the movie about like a country they don't know much about, or in language they don't understand. And I feel that. And of course, I'm very privileged to always see my fellow Egyptians coming here. And it's kind of like it's a way to connect to each other for a dream that we had one time. And thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Bassem Youssef.
All right, okay, let's make some rules. Okay, let's make some rules about pictures. Okay, so if you are in a group, please let's have a picture together. and we're gonna have a picture together. Let's have one picture, not a selfie, a Snapchat, an Insta story, and another selfie and another group chat. So let's just like be considerate of everybody, and I will not leave until I have pictures with everybody. Okay?